This is where real conversations happen. Welcome to Sit Down Sundays on the Final Boss podcast, where the movers, the creators, the ones really making things shake, pull up, sit down and talk different. No filters, no fluff, just raw stories, real journeys, and the mindset behind success. From influencers to entrepreneurs to visionaries turning ideas into empires, we tap in with the people who don't just talk about it, they live it. This ain't just an interview, this is a seat at the table. So lock in, listen close, and learn how bosses move. Sit Down Sundays, only on the Final Boss podcast. New era, same boss.
Welcome to the Final Boss podcast. Sitting Down Sundays. It is Sitting Down Sundays with the one, the only, the Final Boss, which is me. So, listen, I know I am early, right? I'm early because of a few things, right? Right? First, because it's Mother's Day, right? Second is because Thursday, the show was canceled, right? The show was canceled. So because of those two items, I had to, yes, welcome. I see Army Love is in the building. I see Hello Dana Dane is in the building. I see Andre is in the building. Shakandi's in the building. We got Steve's in the building. Tom, Eric is in the building. Mike X is in the building. Man, we got a lot of people who are coming on board, and I appreciate you guys, man, each and every last single one of you. Look, we got Jag who's in the building, man. It is going to be a phenomenal show. It's a Mother's Day special show, right? We're going to celebrate our mothers tonight, but in a way that it's highlighting us, right? It's highlighting us, the sovereign, right? The smarts, the warriors, the final bosses, right? The motivators, right? But without our mothers, we wouldn't be here, right? So we're going to be celebrating them, but also celebrating us, kind of, sort of, right? Tonight's episode is episode number 235, man. 235. We are almost at the halfway mark. 15 episode ways from the halfway mark, man, of 250. Episode 250 is around the corner, man. We got some new things and we're going to bring on board for episode number 250. But tonight is episode number 235. Foundation under the foundation, right? Your mom provides the foundation. Without her, none of us would be here. As a matter of fact, most of us on this planet won't be here without our mothers. So that is tonight's episode. And to each and every last single one of you, no matter where you are, remember the greeting of the day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to each and every single one of you, no matter where you're watching from. If you're watching from Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Kick, LinkedIn, Spotify, YouTube, StreamYard, thank you for all of you guys joining us and being a part of the Final Boss podcast, being a part of the Final Boss community, Final Boss Nation, and Final Boss family, man. Shout out to you guys, man. And shout out to all the moms out there, man. The moms are out there getting it done no matter what, right? No matter what. So we're going to talk about that, man, in a few. And listen, this is for entertainment purposes only, right? This is for entertainment purposes only, right? So let's get into it. Right? I hope everyone's having a great Mother's Day, by the way, right? I hope everyone is having a great Mother's Day. So, listen, family. All right? We weren't on Thursday, so Thursday was canceled, right? That slot was canceled unexpectedly. You know, we normally don't do that. So, that episode didn't run, right? So, there was no spin, right? The move was the move. It happens. And, it happens. Things like that every now and again, something that happens, right? But that number, 235, is something special about 235, right? It followed into the next episode, which is tonight's episode, right? Same number, new seat, right? We're not doing special guests. We're doing sitting down, right? Same fire. But tonight, it's going to land in the sanctuary a little different, right? Because the sovereign is in the building, right? It's Mother's Day. And 5 days from now, I will be graduating. Graduating with my MBA, man, in International Business Global Studies, right? At the University of Maryland, right? And this is Arc 3, right? The foundation. Arc 3, the foundation. Sovereign citizen, welcome. Appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us. Yes, yes, yes. Look, the chair is going to be a little heavy tonight. So I hope you guys are prepared, man, because we're going to get into it, man. We are going to get into it, right? Episode 235 is launching right now. Boom, right? So family, the sovereign, right? The sovereign. Listen, 235, that number is loud. That number is loud, man. 3 days ago, that number was supposed to show up on a Thursday, but for whatever reason, it didn't show up on Special Guest Thursdays. It showed up here, right? The plan said one thing, the week said another, and it was anchored in something different, right? And, I called the council. I had to, right? And the number moved. Same number, right? Same number, right? And I told the family, we're going to reroute this lesson, right? And tonight is the lesson that finds the frame, right? It's Mother's Day. It is Mother's Day, right? Every audience I have ever broadcast to is sitting somewhere tonight with a mother nearby, or at least talking to her. Hopefully your relationships aren't estranged, right? If they are, you need to fix that, man. You only get one mom, right? You need to fix that, right? And some of you, you got your moms next to you, or they're in the next room, or they're a phone call away, right? Some of you, um, some of you don't have your mothers right now, right? Some of your moms are no longer with us. And the chair that she used to sit in hasn't been filled in years. That chair is empty, right? Some of those mom-daughter, mom-son relationships are complicated. A lot of them are estranged, right? Some of you got peace. A lot of you got something poured into you before you even knew what it was. And I'm here to tell you that it was concrete, because mothers pour concrete, right? That's the foundation. They pour into you, right? And that's the room tonight. That's the chat, right? And 5 days from this Sunday, I will walk across that stage again, right? For UMGC, May 15th at 3:00, right? It's been a journey. And then I just recently accepted my doctoral acceptance at Capital Tech. I can say that now, right? And it sits on the shelf right here by me, right? Acceptance. The sovereign rises. Dr. AI rises. The architecture you are watching me build in real time has a foundation under it most of you have never seen, right? But tonight you'll see it, right? Because Arc 3, Season 4, the rebirth is the foundation, right? 3 weeks ago, I sat in this chair at episode number 221 and I named the poor. 2 weeks ago, I sat at episode 236 and named the throne, right? Last week, in episode 231. I sat with the sanctuary close, and every Sunday, this arc has been about the work under the work, the slab under the floor, the concrete under the carpet, right? The thing you cannot see that holds the thing you can see, right? And tonight, I got one floor lower, right? Because every foundation has a foundation underneath. And before I poured anything into rebirth, somebody poured into me, right? And that somebody had a name or has a name, right? I should say. Most of you know hers, right? Because you came from one too, right? Some of you forgot. Some of you owe her a call and you've been putting it off for weeks. Some of you have not said the words out loud since she passed, right? But tonight, we're going to sit with the first pour, right? This is not a Hallmark card episode, right? This isn't flowers, right? This is architecture review and honest accounting. We're going to be talking about sanctuary truth, right? The final bosses do not go soft, man. The sovereign does not get sentimental, although I am feeling really sentimental right now. But the sovereign tells the truth, and the truth on Mother's Day at the foundation, under the foundation, is simple. You are not the first pour. You're the third one, right? Maybe the fourth. The mix that got you came from a woman who got hers from a woman who got hers from a woman who got hers from a woman who got hers, and so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth, man. For 30,000 generations or more, right? We're just gonna say that, right? So sit with that. Then we're gonna go in, right? Smarts, final bosses, motivators, warriors. The chair is open. Right? But before we get to that, man, we're going to talk about our brass tacks of the evening, right? Our brass tacks of the evening. And our brass tacks of the evening comes from none other than its beautiful and wonderful and highly intellectual Toni Morrison, right? And here it is. Toni Morrison wrote in Beloved in 1987. The line lives in the mouth of a man talking about a woman who saved him from himself. I'm putting it in the mouth of the sanctuary tonight. And here is that very line, right? She said, she is a friend of my mind. She gathered me, man. The pieces I am. She gathered them and gave them back to me in all the right order, right? And I'm gonna break it down for you, right? I'm gonna break it down for you. She gathered me, not she fixed me, not she rescued me, not she completed me. She gathered me, right? The pieces I am, not the pieces I was, but the pieces I am right now in this particular moment, right? The fragments, the scattered, the contradictions, right? The cracked. She gathered them, right? And give them back to me in all the right order. And the order is the key, right? Because every man in the room who built something real had somebody who put the pieces back in the right order. Most of the time, that somebody had a name and a kitchen and a phone number and a voice that knew yours better than you do. Right? Better than you do. Right? Most of the time, that somebody never asked for credit. Most of the time, that somebody is the reason the building has a building, right? That's the brass tacks. Listen, you inherit the architecture before you inherit the building. Now say that with me, right? Say it with me. Yes, you inherit the architecture before you inherit the building. The blueprint got drawn before you arrived. The mix got decided before you were old enough to refuse, right? The original pour set in concrete that was poured into someone else who poured it into you, right? That's not metaphor, right? That's not poetry, people. That is a structural fact, right? The smarts tonight are going to receive the data of inheritance, the behavioral patterns, the transfer standards, the lineage and system architecture, the receipts on who got installed before consciousness, right? The final bosses tonight are going to receive the audit, what you call yours that was actually poured into you, the discipline you thought you earned, the work ethic you thought you built, the relentlessness you thought was original. Some of it was. Some of it was inherited concrete, right? The motivators tonight are going to receive the witness reset, right? The one person who watched the full movie, they watched the miracle, right? Mama saw every frame nobody else saw. The audit closes the gap between who you say you are and who she always knew you were going to be, right? And to my warriors, the warriors tonight, you guys are going to receive the truth about the original soldier. Every warrior had a woman who held the line at home, right? Every warrior, right? The rebirth. Mama was in the rear with the gear, right? That's what we say in the military. Mama was in the rear with the gear, right? And a prayer and a phone that never stopped working, right? The brass tacks is set. Let's pour in, man. Let's pour in, man. I know y'all excited. I'm excited, man. Drop some fire emojis tonight, man. Drop some fire emojis. Drop some praying hands, man. Let's give it up to the moms, man. Let's give it up to all the moms all over the world because we wouldn't be here without them. We really would not. Listen, there's 1/trillionth of a chance that you're here. You need to respect that, right? You need to respect it. 1/trillionth of a chance for you to be here, right? Now, look, 3 weeks ago, I sat in this chair and I told you the pour matters more than the paint on the walls, right? The work under the work, the quiet you do at 4 a.m. before anybody is watching. I say 4 a.m. because that's the time I usually wake up before. That's the time I usually wake up. And then 30 minutes later, I'm working, right? And tonight I'm telling you that pour had a pour underneath it, right? Foundation or under foundation, right? Arc 3, the foundation is happens every Sunday. I think this is the last Sunday of Arc 3, right? This arc has been about building the slab. The rest of season 4 is going to stand on, right? Construction crews, they know this, right? You do not start at the foundation. You start under the foundation. You dig, right? You pour gravel. You pour the base. You let the base set. And then you pour the foundation. The base is what they never show you in the photos, right? Because what you see when you see construction, you usually just see the base or you see the pour. And then the next thing you see is the building is erect. You see the beginning and the end. You don't see the middle, the void, the shadow work. You don't see that stuff, right? The base is what they never show you in any of the photos, right? Now look right now. Go look at any photos of a finished building, right? The marketing shot, the grand opening, the ribbon cutting, right? You see steel, you see the rebar, you see the glass, you see the architect smiling, right? You see the blueprints. You do not see the men who dug the hole 3 years earlier, right? You don't see the concrete trucks that ran for 18 hours straight. You don't see the supervisor who held the line at 2 a.m. in the rain when the pour was running long and one mistake would have meant tearing the whole thing out, right? You don't see them, but they're there, right? They're always there, right? Forever, holding the building, right? And guess what? Guess what? To my smarts, to my motivators, to my warriors, to my my final bosses. Mama is the base. Mama is the base. Before you poured anything in this rebirth, she poured the gravel, she poured the subgrade, she poured the foundation under the foundation. She did it when you were too young to remember. She did it when you were too rebellious to acknowledge. She did it when you were too busy to notice. She did it for free. And she did it on no sleep. She did it without a thank you. She did it because that is what she came here to do, right? She was anointed. Listen, mothers are anointed, man. If you don't understand the magic that happens for you to get here, she was anointed to bring you into this world from the spiritual to the material, right? That's bars, by the way, but we're not going to get into that, right? The Pentagon, right? The Pentagon survived, right? I survived. Because a woman somewhere taught a man to keep walking when the walls were burning. The combat deployment survived because a woman somewhere taught a man to come home. The federal years survived because a woman somewhere taught a man to show up at a job he hated. Right? Listen. Until the kid was raised and the mission was clear. Right? She poured the discipline before you knew what discipline was, or even the word discipline. She poured the relentlessness before you knew the word relentlessness. She poured the standard before you knew there was such a thing as a standard. That is the foundation under the foundation, the base under the base, the gravel under the slab. Arc 3 is named the foundation because most of the needed is the metaphor, right? But the truth is sharper than the metaphor. There is no foundation in this rebirth that did not start with somebody else's labor before you knew, right? Before you even knew. And sit in that for a second, right? Sit in that for a second. Because I'm going to tell you what poured into me. Then I'm going to ask you what got poured into you, right? The sanctuary is open, man. The chair is right here. And you need to stay in your chair, right? Stay in your seat. Class is in session, right? So, my mother poured 5 things into me before I was even old enough to consent, right? And I'm going to name them, right? And you're going to write yours down, right? Because that's what we do. We're on this journey together. Write yours down, right? So, first, she poured presence under pressure, right? The woman didn't flinch. I watched her run a household, run a job, run a budget, run a community, and never once perform the actual run, right? She moved like the work was the work, right? No commentary, no social media, no claps, no reels, nobody to congratulate, right? No begging for credit, no drama, no volume, right? And the grown men I watched fall apart and pressure had never seen what I saw at 6 years old, right? She poured the steady before I knew the steady was a competitive advantage, right? Second, she poured the work ethic, not the slogan, the reality. The woman never told me to work hard. The woman worked hard in front of me for decades and let the lesson install on its own, right? I never had to be motivated to grind because the grind was the wallpaper of my childhood. By the time I joined the military and I ran into people who needed to be motivated to do basic tasks, I thought something was broken in them, right? The opposite was true. Something extra had been installed in me. The extraness was the foundation from her. Look, man, my mom worked hard, bro. My mother worked hard, man. Like for real. But it was all worth it. She built the foundation, right? Kids learn through what they see, not necessarily what comes out of your mouth. It's about the actions, right? And then third, she poured the faith. Now, look, I can't tell y'all about the church journeys, plural, right? Because granddaddy was the head deacon, grandma was like the head usher in the church, man, the beloved Mount Herb Baptist Church at Blaisburg Road, Northeast Washington, D.C. Foundation, right? Look, I was on the usher board. I was in the choir. I led prayer for the whole church sometimes. I thought I was on my way to being an evangelical pastor or something, man. I'm telling you. Through practice, I remember writing my first prayer for the entire. This church wasn't small, by all means. Back then, it was probably considered to be a mega church back then, right? And I'm sitting there nights before going over the prayer before and presenting it to my grandfather, who was a Marine and hard nosed, man. He was not accepting anything other than excellence for this prayer, man. Had me in tears, let me tell you. But look, she poured the faith. My grandparents, the community, they poured the faith, right? And it wasn't just all the time about church attendance, right? It was the faith, right? The deep operational confidence that there is a plan you cannot see in a system that has not failed yet, and a moment coming where the proof shows up, right? The woman never panicked because the woman knew something the world did not know. And I inherited that, right? The federal years I worked through, the trademark oppositions that I'm sitting in right now against a famous clother, right? The PhD acceptance for the summer, right? The MBA stage that is conquered in 5 days. None of it gets walked into without inherited faith. She poured that faith, right? She did. So, look, and fourth, she poured the high standard with no apology, right? Mom's had taste, right? She modeled sometimes, right? She designed her own clothes, right? I would remember her with the little paper and the pens, man, around the cloth, and she was cutting the fabric and sewing and man, look, she had refinement, right? My mom knew the difference between cheap and quality, and she never pretended the difference did not matter, right? And then look, I've been dressed like I've been embedded from my family in fashion since the day I was born, right? So when y'all see pictures and you're like, oh, how's this guy? But this guy, listen, it's amalgamation of stuff, right? It really is. And I came up watching a woman who refused to settle for anything below the line she had drawn for herself. That is why I run hexadecimal at 100-point matrix, right? That's why the podcast network runs 5 days a week with no days off, right? That is why I refuse to spend another year, right? Somewhere where I wasn't happy, right? Somewhere that didn't have purpose, right? She poured the no apology version of excellence into me and my brothers, right? And then fifth, she poured the loyalty, right? I'm loyal to no fault, man. I am. I'm loyal to a fault. Sorry, right? The woman did not move on people. She did not abandon. She did not flake. She negotiated her commitments when things got hard, right? I came up watching a woman who kept her word at a frequency that most adults do not. That frequency installed in me before I knew it was even a frequency, right? She was loyal. She held my dad down, even when moments he didn't deserve it, right? Yeah. And this is why the Final Boss community gets 5 shows a week with no skips, because the loyalty has been poured, right? 5 pours, man. Presence under pressure, work ethic, faith, high standard with no apology, loyalty, right? Now, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, right? And if you need to, I'll give you a couple moments of silence, right? Write down your 5 pours that your mother poured into you, right? Write them down. Name them out loud. Drop them in the chat, right? The first pour is really the one you named, right? It's time to get under it, man. Let's talk about it, right? Drop them in the chat, all right? And here's where the sanctuary gets uncomfortable, right? Because the pour I described in a few minutes ago was an easy pour, right? It was the visible architecture. It's the stuff you could point at and say, thank you, right? Most of you are nodding your head right now because you agree, because you can name the version of those 5. But believe me, that's the surface stuff, right? Let's go under the surface. We go on foundation under the foundation, right? So let's go under the surface, right? Because there's a second layer of foundation that mama poured that you cannot point at, right? You can't thank her for it, especially not directly, because you do not have the language for it. You walk around inside of it every day, right? You make decisions out of it, right? You feel safe or unsafe because of it. You attract or repel partners because of it, right? You succeed or stall because of it, right? And I call them invisible walls, right? Invisible walls, right? The invisible walls are the structural beliefs that got installed in you before you had words to speak. The deep operational assumptions about what is possible and what is not, about what a man does or woman does and what a man or woman does not do, right? About what love looks like and what love does not look like, right? About what money means, right? And about what work means, about what rest means, about what failure means, right? About this, what success means, about what God is, right? About what God is, right? About what family is, about what you are worth on a Tuesday when nobody is watching, right? You didn't choose any of that. It's because of her. She poured into it. She poured into you for you to have that, right? And some of you got a good pour. Mama poured invisible walls that held you up when life tries to take you down, right? Walls that catch you, walls that say no when you're about to make a bad move. I got plenty of those. Them walls talk to me, bro. Them walls be talking to me, right? Listen. Walls that say yes when you're about to walk away from your moment. Walls that hold the love you're in. Walls that keep the bad people out. Those of you with the good pour, stand straight up without thinking about it, right? Your back is straight because the wall behind you is straight, right? And some of you got a broken pour. Mama did her best with what she got or what she had, right? And it came from her mama, right? You see how that works? Your mama did the best with what she had or got from her mama. who did her best with what she got from her mother somewhere. And along the line, those walls cracked. You walked around inside a foundation that has a structural problem. You feel it, but you cannot find it because it is a wall, not the room. You can buy a new house and move into it and feel the same problem because the problem walked in there with you, right? And that's not the blame. That, my friends, is the architecture, right? The rebirth I've been preaching since episode 201 is not just about pouring new concrete. It's about going down the foundation, under the foundation, and inspecting the original walls. Some of you have been trying to renovate the kitchen on a foundation that needs to be reinforced before the renovation can hold. Mama did the best she could with what she got. She can honor her. You can honor her, right? You can honor her by acknowledging both, right? The good poor and the broken poor. Because without the acknowledgement, the rebirth is just theater. And tonight in the sanctuary, you sit with both. Not in resentment, but in review, right? In review, man, it's time to heal. It is time to heal, right? In review, right? Think about it. The walls she poured, the walls that you hold up, the walls that need to be reinforced before the next pour, the walls you are going to pour into, right? The walls that I'm pouring into my daughter, right? And you pouring into your kids and into your community and to the audience that listens to you because you finally stopped pretending the foundation was self-made. The foundation under the foundation was poured by a woman. That is the sanctuary truth. Right? Look, Sovereign, Smarts, right? The sanctuary is yours right now, right? We're going to talk to the Smarts, right? Because the Smarts, you think it's systems. You guys, man, you guys are something. I love you guys, right? You think in data, you think in inheritance flows and capital structures and information transfers. And tonight, I'm going to give you the architecture vocabulary for what just got named, right? And we're talking about lineage is data, right? Lineage is data, right? The behavioral patterns your mother demonstrated in front of you for the first 18 years of your life are not memories. They are installed software. The neural pathways got laid down in real time as you watched her, right? Mirror neurons activated, pattern recognition formed, default responses got installed. And by the time you were old enough to think about thinking, the operating system was already running, right? It was already running, man. Listen, and that's not an opinion. That is developmental neuroscience, right? Bandura wrote the social learning theory in 1977. Castellino mapped the relationship brain in 2014. Show her on after regulation, right? The research is settled. The first decade of poor determines how the building stands for the next 80 years. Then add that second layer, right? Add that second layer, right? Epigenetics, Yohande Holocaust studies, right? The lasting genetic markers, the trauma that gets transmitted not through behavior, but through molecular signaling, right? The data does not just install through your eyes, it installs through your blood. Your mother's stress responses got encoded into your genetic expression before you were born. Her resilience under fire is in your cells right now, in your DNA. DNA has memory, right? Her unresolved fear is in your cells. Her endurance is in your cells. That is the data lineage, right? Now, run the audit, man. Run the audit, right? The way you respond to stress was poured. The way you handle conflict was poured. The way you respond to authority was poured. The way you handle silence was poured. The way you handle abundance was poured. The way you handle loss was poured. The default settings of your operating system were not selected by you. They were installed by her, right? That is not victim language. That is the opposite. This is sovereignty, right? And listen, sovereignty starts with knowing what got installed, right? You cannot rewrite code you cannot see. The smarts move tonight is to map the installed code, right? Not to complain about it, right? But, or listen, not to celebrate it, but to see it. To see it, right? To see it, see it, see it, see it. Cameras, 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 cameras. See it, right? Then you decide what stays and what gets refractored, right? The rebirth in software terms is a refractor, right? A refactor. Same system, new code. The legacy functions stay when they served. The depreciated functions get rewritten. The bugs get patched. The architecture remains intact while the operations get upgraded, right? You inherited a code base. You did not write the original commits. You can read them now. You can decide tonight which functions stay in production and which functions get refactored, right? What functions get depreciated, right? That is the data move, right? That's the data move. Now, Mama, she wrote version 1. You are writing version 2, right? Shy will write version 3. The code base has stopped being written. You are simply the current developer, right? Honor the original commits, refactor what needs refactoring, ship version 2, pass the repository forward. Smarts, lineage is data. Data is editable, right? The pour is in the input. The output is your choice. The output is your choice now. Back to the room, back to the chat, right? Final bosses, you're up. You're up, final bosses. Pull up the chair, right? Put it up a little closer, right? Come close. Come close, right? Come close to the Defender bus, right? Pull up the chair. Your block is the audit, right? Final bosses, you run things. You build empires. You make decisions other people are too scared to make. You walk into rooms and the temperature shifts. You have the receipts. You have the platform. You have the followers. You have the best. You have the company. You have the brand. And tonight you sit down and audit what is actually yours, right? It's time to run the inventory, right? Let's run the inventory. The work ethic you brag about, right? Sometimes I brag about it, right? Did you build that, or was that poured into you by a woman who outworked everyone in her community and her zip code, right? And before you were even old enough to clock in, right? Think about it. Be honest, right? The relentlessness you call your edge. Did you develop that in your 20s on your grind, or was it already running at full operational speed by the time you were 12 because mama never quit on anything in front of you? Be honest, man. Be honest, man. Drop it, right? The high standard you hold your team to, the one that makes some employees thrive and others fold. Did you study that in business school, or did you watch your mother refuse to settle on her at the dinner table, right? Be honest. The discipline that has you up at 4 a.m. every morning while the world is asleep. Did you build that habit from your work, your podcast, or whatever you're doing? Or did she pour the habit into you when she was at the stove at 5 a.m. Cooking holiday meals, right? Packing your lunch, right? Right? Be honest. The composure and ability under pressure, the non-flinching, the ability to take incoming fire without breaking an eye contact with the camera, right? Did the military install that, or did she pre-install it and the military just justified and verified the install? Right? Be honest. Be honest. Right? The audit is not about devaluing your work. The audit is about accurate attribution. Right? A real CEO knows the org chart. Right? A real CEO knows who built the company. A real CEO knows what was inherited capital and what was self-generated capital. The real CEO writes the cap table correctly because integrity demands it, right? Your character is a cap table, right? Same equity in your character is yours, right? Same equity. You earned it, you built it, you poured it in yourself. You need to honor that, right? Same equity, man. Same equity in your character is hers, right? She poured it in before you arrived. You need to honor that too, right? And to my final bosses, your move tonight is to write the accurate cap table, right? Stop reporting yourself as 100% self-made operator. The numbers do not lie. You are 30 to 50% your mother. The rest is yours. Both are real. Both are accurate. Both should be on the public record. When the audience asks you how you became who and what you became, you need to tell them the truth. Tell them the foundation under the foundation was a woman, right? Tell them you stand on inherited concrete. Tell them the steel is yours, but the slab was hers, right? That is the audit. A real boss never claims credit for inherited capital. A real boss compounds it, right? You inherited the foundation, compound it. Build the next level on it, right? Pour the next layer onto it, right? Pass it forward, like I'm passing mine forward, right? Pass it on to your kids, to your community, to the next generation of final bosses who will inherit your concrete and stand on your shoulders, right? That is how the lineage holds, right? And back to the room. To my motivators, right? Come close. Come close. Not too close. You guys talk a lot, right? Motivators talk a lot. So you not too close, right? It's your turn in the seat, right? You pour into everybody. You pour into the team, you pour into the kids, you pour into your clients, you pour into your community, you pour into your followers, you pour into your friends who text you at all the ungodly hours, right? You're the one with the energy that doesn't quit. You're the one who shows up with the speech, the hug, the meal, the loan, the truth, the prayer, the laugh, right? And you completely reset the room. You're the one everybody calls when their world is on fire, right? Tonight, you sit with the one person who poured into you that same way, right? Because you had a witness. Before you were the motivator, somebody motivated you. Before you were the source, somebody was the source for you. Before you held the room, somebody held the room for you. The somebody is the same somebody who saw you when you were not impressive. It's somebody who believed in you when there was no evidence to believe in you, right? That somebody motivated you with a presence so consistent you forgot it was rare. Mama was the original motivator. You learned to move from her. The patience you have with broken people, you learned that. The ability to find one good thing in somebody who has done a lot of bad things, you learned that. The willingness to keep showing up for people who keep disappointing you, you learned that. The deep faith in the possibility of redemption, you learned that as well, right? Now, here's the reset, right? Here's the reset. The motivators motivators run out when the motivator forgets to be motivated. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot lift if nobody ever taught you the form on how to lift. You cannot keep believing in people if you never had somebody to believe in you first. Tonight, we're going to refill your cup. All right. as I'm refilling mine. Right? And here's your three moves before here's your three moves, right? Motivators. First, right now, right? While I'm talking, do this right now. Open your phone, text the woman who poured the motivator into you, right? If she's still with us, text her right now on Mother's Day. 3 minimum words. This. I see it. That's it. Full stop. Type the words, I see it, to your mother, right? She would know what you mean. She's been waiting for you to know and see it, right? And your second move, tomorrow, make the call, not the text, the call. You know, like pick up the phone, make a voice call, dial the number, speak, right? And for 5 minutes minimal, with no agenda, just presence. Return the frequency she gave you when you were too young to know it was a frequency, right? And third, sometime this week, if she's no longer with us, right? If the distance is permanent, if you guys are estranged, right? Write a letter, right? Write a letter. You could do it out loud or on paper, right? Say what you never said. The motivator inside you was poured by her. Honor the pour even if the address has changed. The witness reset is not optional. It is maintenance. The motivator does not refill the source. If they don't refill the source will burn out. The motivator who keeps the source alive will keep pouring for 40 or more years, right? She watched the full movie, every frame, the ones you remember and the ones you forgot. She knew you were going to become this before you knew there was a this, right? She knew. The witness has been holding the projection for decades. It's time to sit down with the witness. Motivators, the pour is real. The pour is the source. Refill the source. Refill it, right? Refill it. Now back to the room. To my warriors, right? To my warriors, come close, right? Lock in. This is yours, right? Listen. I'm a combat veteran, just like you. Knife hand, combat veteran, right? OEF 3 to 4 and OIF, right? I was at the Pentagon, y'all know this, right? I walked through smoke and screams, right? And I came home with the kind of memory that does not fade and does not need permission to wake up at 3 a.m., right? 25 years later, right? I know what a warrior is because I am one. Because you are one, right? We do not need to romance the word, right? We need to honor it. And tonight on Mother's Day, the honor includes a hard truth. Every warrior had a woman who held the line at home, right? I never deployed without a woman waiting, right? I never walked into a combat zone without a woman praying. I have never come home from war without a woman holding the door open with food on the table and a quiet silence that knew not to ask questions until I was ready, right? Every deployment on record has a woman in the rear with the gear and the prayer and a phone that never stopped working, right? The original soldier was a woman. Listen, the original soldier was a woman. She was deployed before you were. She was in a combat before you were. She was in the trenches before you were. She had been holding a line for years before you knew what a line was. The line at home is the hardest line in the entire theater. You cannot rotate out of it. You cannot get extracted. You cannot call in air support. You cannot retreat to base. The base is the theater. The home is the front. And the woman is the soldier, and she held it down, right? While you were in the rear, right? While you were in the field, while you were wherever you were, Afghanistan, Iraq, wherever, while you were at war with yourself in the basement, in the attic, after the war was over, while you were rebuilding your businesses from scratch, while you were burying the friends who did not make it home or did not make it through the years after they got home. She held the line, right? The warriors in this audience tonight need to hear this. The mission you ran was not a solo mission. The home front was a theater. The theater had a commander. The commander was usually a woman. She held the line so you could hold yours. You need to honor her tonight. Honor her on Mother's Day, right? If she's your mother, honor her. If she is your wife, honor her. If she is your grandmother who raised you when your mother could not, honor her. If she is your aunt who raised you when your mother could not, honor her, right? If she is the woman who never had your last name but poured the soldier into you when you were too young to enlist, honor her, right? The warrior code does not start in basic training. The warrior code gets installed in the kitchen by a woman who refused to be broken. The warrior code gets reinforced at dinner table when standards are non-negotiable. The warrior code gets tested in the silence of a base and in a house where one person is gone and the others have to keep functioning. The warrior code gets transmitted through a woman who never wore a uniform but never broke under pressure. You need to honor the original soldier tonight, right? Warriors, listen. Listen. Stand at attention, right? Stand at attention for 60 seconds, right? Stand up, get out of your chair, stand at attention, right? And out loud or silent, acknowledge the one who held the line so you can hold yours, right? Now back to the room. All right? Now, it's time to reroute. Let's pivot, right? Let's pivot. This episode was supposed to run on Thursday, talking about episode 235, right? Which is May 7th, right? Special guest Thursdays, right? I built the slot, I built the episode. Number was signed. The week was planned, right? Then the week happened. The plan met reality and conditions changed. I had to cancel. I posted the announcement. I moved the number to tonight, right? Same number, new seat, same fire, right? The lesson was aside to move the whole time, right? Mama already knew the reroute. Every woman who ever raised a child has executed the reroute 1,000 times. The plan said one thing. Tuesday said another. Wednesday said something else. The kid got sick. The husband got deployed. The job got cut. The husband lost his job. The money got tight. The schedule got blown. The dream got delayed. The reroute happened. Family ate. Bills got paid. Lights stayed on. The line held. And she never called it a cancellation. She called it a reroute, right? Final Boss community, Sovereign, y'all need to hear this lesson, right? Y'all need to hear this, right? This lesson burned into the walls. Have it burning into the walls. Because we live in a culture that treats every disruption like a defeat, right? The flight got delayed and people lose their minds. The deal fell through and people quit. The relationship ended and people sit on the couch for 4 months. The promotion did not happen and people start updating their resume and resentment instead of strategy, right? That's not warrior code. That is consumer code, right? Warriors do not cancel missions where conditions change. Warriors adjust the route. Same objective, new approach, right? Empire builders do not abandon plans when timing shifts. Empire builders resequence the build. Same building, new order of operations, right? Sovereigns do not collapse when the calendar gets written or rewritten. Sovereigns draft the calendar. Sovereign still make rules. The sovereign just rules from a different chair, and we're doing that this week, right? Your mama wrote the playbook. Watch any woman who raised more than one child on less than enough resources, and you will see a reroute artist who could teach the military a thing or two about logistics. Mothers are experts at robbing Peter to pay Paul. Let me tell you. She rerouted breakfast when the eggs ran out, right? She rerouted Christmas when the bonus got canceled. She rerouted the family vacation when the car broke down. She rerouted the entire household when the job ended. The mission stayed. The mission shifted. The route shifted. The line held, right? Episode 235 got canceled on Thursday because the conditions did not support the original plan. The episode that did not get canceled, the episode got rerouted. The number held. The fire held. The mission held. Sunday became the new Thursday, right? Mama taught me this better than anyone I know. And that's this lesson right here, right? She was rerouting in front of me for 2 decades. Every adult in this audience, every adult who's a smart, a warrior, a motivator, a final boss, a part of the sovereign, they all have seen and witnessed a woman in their life who modeled the reroute at the level of professional logistics. We never gave her the title, right? Tonight, she gets the title, right? Final Boss Community is a community of rerouters. We do not cancel, we reseat. We do not collapse. We resequence, right? We do not quit. We reroute, right? Episode number 235 in the seat tonight is proof of concept. Mama, I know you're proud, right? Tomorrow, we're going to keep building, right? Tomorrow, we're going to keep building. Now, here's what Mother's Day looks like in both directions, right? We're gonna talk backward and forward. And stay with me. I'm gonna go over just a little bit. Stay with me, right? Stay with me. Backward and forward. The pour is by directional, right? I came from a woman. You came from a woman, unless you're one of those aliens that they're talking about, right? And if you are, you need to holler at me, right? You need to holler at me. Right? Every person in this audience came from a woman. That is not a backward look. We just spent 10 segments arguing it, right? The foundation, under the foundation, the first pour, the invisible walls, the original soldier, right? Now we look forward, right? Yes, we look forward, right? I got a daughter, and she's beautiful. I know, right? She is beautiful, and she's probably watching right now, right? Not literally tonight, but operationally. She is watching me every day. She is observing the architecture I'm pouring into everything that I'm dealing with, right? And she is a mirror mirroring every decision I make. She is genetically inheriting my stress responses. She is installing my defaults into her operating system in real time. I'm pouring the foundation under her foundation. And that is sovereign, right? But it's heavy. That is the weight that nobody warned me about when I became a father. The fact that 20 years from now, Chai is going to sit in some version of this chair and audit who got poured into her by the same way I just audit what got poured into me by my mother, right? The receipts are going to read. And what's on Chai's receipt? Listen, item number 1, did I demonstrate presence under pressure? Or did I collapse when the heat came, right? Did I work hard in front of her or without performing, right? Or did I talk about hard work without doing it, right? Did I keep my faith when the plan got rerouted? Or did I panic? Did I hold a high standard with no apology? Or did I negotiate standards with people and got uncomfortable, right? Did I stay loyal when staying loyal got hard? or did I move on people? Right? I'm being audited right now, and so are you. Your children are auditing you right now, right? In real time, right? And 20 years before she sits down to write her own audit, the poor I'm making today is going to read on a piece of paper in 2046, right? Smarts, that is data lineage and forward motion. Final bosses, that is the cap table you're building for the next generation. Motivators, that is the witness you are becoming for someone who's too young to know they are watching. And my warriors, that is the line you are holding right now for a soldier who has not been deployed yet, right? The final boss community has to take this seriously, guys. You got to take this seriously. The next pour you make this week is concrete that would not be touched again for 40 years. The Tuesday morning workout is data installation. The Wednesday night family dinner is architecture. The Friday afternoon decision to keep your word is structural reinforcement. The Saturday evening conversation with your spouse where you held the standard is the wall going up. You are building a foundation under a foundation under a foundation. 3 generations deep, always at minimum, right? My mother poured into me. I'm pouring into Chai. Chai will pour into hers. The architecture continues. The building gets taller. The foundation gets deeper. The lineage holds. That is sanctuary work, right? Honor the woman who poured into you. Honor the woman next to you. Honor the role you play in pouring into the next one, right? Mother's Day is not a Hallmark holiday. Mother's Day is a structural audit of the foundation under the foundation under the foundation. Right? Now, 5 days. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Stay with me, right? Stay with me. I'm almost done, right? 5 days from tonight, I graduate with my MBA at the University of Maryland Global Campus, right? This Friday, and I'm nervous, right? May 15th at 3 o'clock, cap and gown, walk, diploma, photo, right? The education path, well, part of it anyway, 2/3 of it, that formally started gets an academic punctuation, right? The doctoral program at CTU opens this summer. Dr. AI rises. The sovereign continues. The architecture moves to the next level. This segment right here is a little personal, and I'm going to sit with it in front of you because the sanctuary requires it, right? Listen, and this isn't for comparison, right? This isn't for comparison. This is for lessons, right? Here are the lessons, right? Go Time 1 dropped around my birthday, right? Became an Amazon bestseller. Go Time 2 drops in July, August, right? Go Time 3 is in the fall. The podcast ramp from one single show to 5 nights a week to no days off, right? The trademarks that I'm running right now, the doctoral applications, the conditional acceptance, the cohort that starts this summer. That stack does not stand on its own because somewhere inside every late night study session for the last 18 months, there's a woman who poured the focus into me when I was 8 years old that allowed me to keep my eyes on the textbook when the rest of the world had given up. Somewhere inside of anything that I've completed and accomplished since I was 3, 4 years old, there was a woman who poured the courage into me that allowed me to be. Allow me to be. Allow me to be bigger than a paycheck. Allow me to be bigger than awards and academics. Allow me to be bigger than any of those things, right? Somewhere this woman poured the conviction into me when I was 14 years old. And I had something to say, and it was worth saying. And she allowed me to say it, right? 5 days from today, I walk across that stage and with her on the inside of my chest. Even if she's not there, even if the chair may be empty, even if the geography is wrong, the poor is in the building is walking the stage, right? And for the family in the audience right now who's graduating in the next couple of weeks, right? Listen. A program, a season, a relationship, a version of yourself. I want you to hear this right here, right? You aren't walking alone. The foundation under your foundation walks with you. The original pour is in your stride. The first concrete is in your steps. The woman who poured into you is on the stage, even if she's not there, right? That is sanctuary truth on Mother's Day. The next 12 months of my life are going to look unrecognizable compared to the last 12. The doctoral program, the sovereign brand expansion, the Go Time 3 releases, the Final Boss Origins, the podcast network, right? Season 5, The Harvest, the books series for The Merge, the Sovereign Edition logo evolution past the trademark fight, the contracts for SDND DC, right? All position to position and pursue at scale, right? None of that runs without the foundation under the foundation. My mama poured the slab. I'm pouring the floors. Chai will pour the roof. The building keeps rising, right? 5 days out, the cap and gown, the walk, the deployment, the pour continues, right? The pour continues. Stay with me. I'm almost done. Give me 10 more minutes. Give me 10 more minutes, right? Now, three women hold this episode tonight, right? The first woman who poured in me, my mother, the original architect. The foundation under the foundation, the one whose name is on a public record connected to my career and yet whose pour is on every brick. Tonight, she gets the honor, right? She gets the honor. The second woman, right, is the woman who walks beside me, right? My partner, the one who's been there, right? The one who saw me drop the bestseller, right? The trademark fights, right? The one who saw me never give up or lose a seat at the table. The one who saw me reroute 1,000 times. The one who pours into me when I don't even deserve it, right? You get to inherit your pour tonight, right? You get your honor, right? Happy Mother's Day. And the third is the one I'm pouring into right now. My daughter, right? The one who is watching the architecture get built in real time. The one whose foundation under the foundation is happening right now in 2026. The one who will sit in some version of the chair in 2046. The one who will run her own audit, right? Together, she gets the honor, right? She gets the honor. 3 generations of women hold the episode. The lineage holds because the women hold, right? The Final Boss community needs to see this. The sovereign is not made of self-made, right? The sovereign is the current operator in a multi-generational system that was poured by women before the sovereign was old enough to be a man. The brand, the sovereign, is accurate. The sovereign is the current ruler. The kingdom existed before the ruler. The kingdom was built by people who held the line so the ruler could rise. That is not weakness. That is reality, right? The strongest men and women I know are the men and women who can name the woman who poured them, right? The weakest men I know or women I know are the men and women who pretend they invented themselves. Pretending you invented yourself is a lie. The lie has a cost. The cost is the disconnect from the source. The disconnect from the source is the disconnect from the power. The power is the lineage. The lineage is the woman. Honor the woman, hold the power, right? 3 women, right? 3 women, 3 pours. The original, the current, the next, right? And you probably have your own 3, right? Now take a minute right now and name them in your head, out loud if you can. The one who poured in you, the one who is pouring beside you, the one you are pouring into, right? If one of those positions is empty in your life, sit with it, right? The position matters more than the person. If the mother is not here, the pour she made is still in the building. If the partner is not present, the position is still real, and the work to fill it is part of your rebirth. If the daughter has not arrived, the position is being prepared and the pour is starting before her arrival, right? 3 generations always at minimum, right? The architecture is not optional. The architecture is the architecture. The women are the structural members of the architecture. Honor the structure. The structure holds the building holds the empire is the assignment is the rebirth, the lineage holds because the woman holds. Honor them on Mother's Day. Honor them tonight, right? Now, we're about to close, right? Stay with me, right? Stay with me. We're about to close, right? And synthesize this before you go to bed, right? The 4 pillars get the final pass, right? Talking about the community, right? To my smarts, the data move tonight was lineage as installed code. You inherited a code base you did not write. You can read the original commits right now. You can refactor what needs refactoring. The mother pour is version 1. You are version 2. The next generation is version 3. The code base has not stopped being written. You are the current developer. Refactor with respect. Ship the next version. Pass the repository forward, right? And to my final bosses, the audit move tonight was accurate attribution. Your character is at a table. Some of the equity is yours. Some of the equity is inherited from the woman who poured in you, right? Don't forget. The accurate cap table is the integrity move. The accurate cap table is also the compounding move. You cannot compound capital you refuse to acknowledge. Acknowledge the inheritance, compound it, build the next floor on it, pass it forward to the next final bosses. That's your lineage, right? And to my motivators, right? We're almost done. The reset move tonight was the source refill. The motivator who forgets to be motivated burns out. You had a source. The source was probably a woman. The source poured the frequency into you that you are now broadcasting to everyone else because of the woman that poured into you. 3 actions before this week ends. Text her tonight, call her tomorrow, write her a letter this week if the distance is permanent, refill the source. The pour you make this week is the pour she made decades ago. Honor the chain, right? And to my warriors, lastly, right? The honor move tonight was the original soldier acknowledgement, right? Every warrior had a woman who held the line at home. The home front was the hardest theater. She did not route out, right? She did not get extracted. She did the line so you could hold yours. Honor your mother tonight. Honor her. Whether it's your mother, your wife, your grandmother, your aunt. The position matters. The pour is real, right? The line she held is the reason the line you hold was somewhere for you to stand, right? That's the community. 4 pillars, 4 moves, 1 foundation, right? The Final Boss community gets a homework assignment tonight, 3 deliverables before next Sunday, right? And deliverable number 1, write your own foundation under the foundation document. 5 pours, 5 things that got poured into you before you were old enough to consent. Name them, write them down, read them out loud, and before you go to sleep on Wednesday, this becomes the document you reference for the next 40 years, right? Deliverable number 2, make the call. Pick up your phone, make the call, not the text. Call your mama, right? Call the woman or whoever she is that poured into you. If she's alive and still here with us, honor her. Give her a call. Give her 5 minutes of your time, right? No agenda, just presence, right? Just be present, right? If she's not alive, and I'm sorry for that, write her a letter. Write it out loud to her, right? Pour into the letter, right? 5 minutes minimum, right? Now, and deliverable number 3, identify the pour you are making this week into the next generation. Not metamorphically, right? Concretely. The specific behavior, the specific standard, the specific decision, the specific frequency. Name the next pour you are making this week, then make it on purpose, knowing it is going to be somebody's foundation for 40 years from now, right? 3 deliverables, 1 week, and then we're going to talk about it next Sunday, right? That's the assignment. The sanctuary closes, right? The sanctuary is closing. And now, in closing, right? 3 days ago, this episode was supposed to run on a Thursday, special guest Thursdays, right? The week did not allow it. I called it. It was canceled. I moved the number, new seat, same fire, right? The reroute was the lesson the entire time, right? I see how things work. The reroute, right? My mama taught me how to reroute before I needed the lesson. She was a master at it, right? And tonight I gave it back to the community for episode number 235, right? Because Sunday became a Thursday, and that wasn't the plan, right? The plan rewrote itself, and the line held. That is sovereignty under shifting conditions. That is the rebirth in action. That is the foundation under the foundation doing its job, right? Doing what it's supposed to do. The Final Boss community, the mission moves. We move with it. We do not cancel. We reseat. We do not collapse. We resequence. We do not quit. We reroute, right? Arc 3, the foundation continues. Tomorrow, Motivation Mondays returns at episode number 236, right? Arc 3, final runs tomorrow. The construction begins. Arc 4 opens at when? I think in 8 days, right? Arc 4 opens in 8 days. The sovereign keeps rising. The mission keeps moving. The pour keeps pouring, right? Mark your tabs, right? And then Tuesday, Tech Tuesdays with the sensei. We're getting back, right? And then, of course, merger, right? The doctoral block continues, right? Verified content only. References that are very close, right? And then Thursday, special guest Thursdays, we back at it again. The seat was empty this week, but it's going to get filled, right? And then Sunday, sitting down Sundays, Arc 3, the finale, right? The foundation pour closes at Arc 4 that opens next week, right? 65 episodes until the harvester, episode number 300. The logo, the new logo unveils, right? Ooh, boy, new logo coming. Right? Yes. A lot of things coming, right? 5 days until I walk, right? Cap and gown. The sovereign continues. Tonight, the foundation under the foundation gets named. The original pour got honored. The first concrete got receipts. Mama got the credit she has been owed for decades. If you are sitting next to her tonight, tell her out loud, not flyers, words, right? The receipt. What got poured into you specifically by name? Tell her. If she's on the phone, make the call before you go to bed, right? Give her 5 minutes of your time, right? Voice and presence, right? If she's not here, write the letter out loud. The poor is still in the building. The building is still walking the stage. The lineage still holds, right? And to my smarts, lineage is data, refactor the code, ship version 2. Final bosses rewrite the accurate cap table, compound inherited equity, pass it forward. Motivators refill the source. The poor you make starts with the poor you got, right? And to my warriors, honor the original soldier. The line at home is the hardest line in the theater, right? 3 deliverables this week: the 5 poor document, the voice call, the name forward, right? Report back on Sunday, and we're going to talk about it, right? The foundation closes, construction opens. I am the one, the only, the final boss. This has been the Final Boss Podcast. This is the Sovereign Sitting Combat Veteran, right? Listen, man. Listen. This is episode number 235 of Sitting Down Sundays with the Final Boss, right? Be first, become after. That is our show for tonight. Good night, Final Bosses, family, the Sovereign, the poor continues. And as always, if this show resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe. And also, go, don't gatekeep. Share it, right? And remember, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but there is a even heavier pain that comes with regret. I am here. We are here. And as always, if I don't see you tomorrow, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Be balanced, be equal, and be smart. That is our show. Thank you for tuning in. Talk to you guys soon. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Bye. Have a great one.
Table like it's on me. Put it on my tab, kid. However you get there, foot it, cab it, iron horse it. You leave it on your face, forfeit. Across the mic, hold it like the heat. He might toss it. Told her, tell him they stole it. He told her he lost it. She told him get off it and a bunch of other more shit. Getting money, DTs be getting no new leads.